Hi, my name is Mark Bryson. I'm a registered nurse. I have worked at Cone Health for 20 years. My background is in cardiology and interventional radiology. So now that we have identified that there is a need for change, it is time to start planning for that change. And when planning for change, it's very important for leadership to be transparent with staff so that they know what's happening and give them an opportunity to plan for the change. So we want to create a multidisciplinary team that will be made up of a physician, a resident, the clinical nurse specialist. We'd like to have nursing representation from day shift, night shift, and weekends. We'd like to have the nursing manager involved as well as a unit secretary. It's very important to have feedback from a multidisciplinary team when planning and executing change. This will be a process change that will affect the labor and delivery department, most specifically the triage area, and the triage nurses and the residents that work in labor and delivery. So we are trying to increase throughput in the triage area. And in order to do so, we have set or developed three goals. The first goal will be to have a resident assigned to the triage area. The way it currently works is there are 3 residents and 1 attending, and nobody specifically assigned to the triage area, which makes it a little difficult for the nursing staff when they need assistance with patient care. Having a resident in the triage area, they will be able to see the patients and write their orders for either admission or discharge in a timely manner. The second goal we have, and the other thing is for having a resident in the triage area, we will be able to timestamp and track delays. So we'll be able to timestamp when the patient arrives, when the patient is seen by a nurse, when the patient is seen by a resident, and when the orders are placed by the resident for either admission or discharge. So our second goal will be to start using the maternal fetal triage index as a way to assign acuity to patients. In the review of literature, there was a 90 to 95% validity score associated with using this tool. So organizations that have used this tool have had great outcomes with expediting care and increasing patient satisfaction because they're not waiting so long. It'll be a way to standardize communication with the nurses and the residents. The maternal fetal triage index is a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being stat, 2 being urgent, 3 being prompt, 4 being non-urgent, and 5 being scheduled. So when the resident knows the acuity of the patient, he can or she can prioritize their care. So the nursing staff will need to be educated on this. We will allow for 8 weeks of in-services. The clinical nurse specialist will have in-services and explain how to use this tool and be available to answer any questions that the staff might have about using the tool. So our third goal will be to have a minimum requirement for the nurses that work in triage. The way it works now is there are nurses that just rotate through the triage area from the labor and delivery department. What we want to do is have minimum requirements, have the nurses that work in triage have to have 2 years of labor and delivery experience. They have to be trained in obstetric emergencies, and they also have to take an intermediate fetal monitoring class. So This will also incentivize nurses that have been there for less than 2 years to take these classes so that when they hit the 2-year mark, they will be able to transition into working in the triage area. Where we're going to have resistance to this is those nurses who haven't been there for 2 years and have been doing triage. Some of the residents may be resistant to being confined to just the triage area, but all of this is an effort to expedite care and take care of our patients and as efficiently as we possibly can. So, in conclusion, we will form a multidisciplinary team to plan and execute this. Our goals will be to assign a resident to the triage area. We will use the maternal fetal triage index as our mode of communication and standardizing care. And we will have the minimum requirements for nurses working in triage: 2 years of labor and delivery experience, intermediate fetal monitoring class, and be trained in obstetric emergencies. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great day.